The Sexual Harassment Protection and Prevention Act 2021 has been passed by the lower house. The legislation is expected to mark a major cultural shift in the country, with workplaces, schools and other institutions mandated to curate the legislation into policy. We get more from Simone Absalom Gayle.
Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, says when the bill becomes law, it will deal a blow to sexual harassment by bringing relief to victims and punishment to perpetrators, while acting as a deterrent to others.
Last week, I brought to our consciousness some of the improvements in the bill to include the fit and proper person criteria, the institution of a sexual harassment policy statement within 12 months, the widening of the categories that can be sexually harassed, the limitation of action and the review period of 18 months.
The minister also notes that the legislation is gender neutral because both men and women are susceptible to sexual harassment. Under the new law, victims of workplace harassment can make complaints directly to a tribunal to guard against undue prejudice.
It is important to note, Madam Speaker, that Clause 27(4) of the bill mandates the use of internal complaint mechanisms before a matter progresses to tribunal stage. However, Clause 7 overrides the proviso in 27(4) to protect a potential complainant. Many complainants have often expressed fear where sexual harassment is meted out to them by their supervisor. The requirement to use internal mechanisms as a first point of complaint would undoubtedly greatly expose such a person to undue prejudice. It is this situation which Clause 7 seeks to prevent. Thus, where an allegation of sexual harassment directly involves an employer or the person in charge of an institution, such a complaint should be made directly to the tribunal in keeping with the tribunal's processes and procedures.
The tribunal will also consider complaints from tenants who are being sexually harassed by their landlords. Other instances of sexual harassment are also covered. Member of Parliament for Manchester North West says the bill has the support of the opposition, but he says an appropriate legislative remedy should be considered to protect victims from unintended consequences that may arise from filing a sexual harassment claim.
In the Joint Select Committee report, there was a proposal to create a standalone victimization provision that can be advanced through the tribunal. This would empower the tribunal to make a financial award for such a breach or authorize the parish court to award the victim. However, I note in reading the report that the Joint Select Committee did not accept this suggestion. I am therefore recommending that a clause be inserted to give effect to this recommendation, as we must do everything in our power to protect victims from sexual harassment.
Justice Minister Delroy Chuck also gave his support.
We must send a signal in this sexual harassment bill that we need to treat our women properly and appropriately at every sphere of life. And Madam Speaker, I hope that a few cases will come to the tribunal, and hopefully when they are assessed, it can send the right signal in terms of how we balance. Because in truth, Madam Speaker, we need to balance carefully and appropriately. Because yes, Madam Speaker, I have no doubt that there's a fair amount of sexual harassment at the workplace when tenants need to get places for accommodation. Landlords utilize their power and the knowledge that they have somewhere for the tenant to get and abuse the women, sexually abuse the women who need these places for accommodation. We get the sexual harassment, Madam Speaker, in many institutions. And this bill, Madam Speaker, must send a signal that these harassment must stop.
The bill, which was passed with 10 amendments, will now be debated in the Senate for its approval before it is enacted into law. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gayle.